friends, welcome back to another video. My name's Sophie, if we haven't met before. Have you ever wanted to use your art to express how you feel? Maybe emotional expression, it might be working through how you feel if you're not sure, kind of getting a little bit clearer on that. It might be connecting to your felt sense, the sensations in your body, any images that come up, any inner parts, maybe the inner critic or the inner child. It could even be getting down creatively how you want to feel. And I just want to caveat this by saying that this isn't art therapy. I'm not an art therapist. I'm an artist. I'm a somatic coach, yoga teacher, and I use art to support creative expression, emotional processing, but in a very different way to how an art therapist would. So I think that's really important. Art can be very therapeutic, but art therapy and using art as a therapeutic practice are two very, very different things. So I wanted to talk you through or show you my creative process, what I do. This isn't something that I do every single day, but as an artist and someone who finds creativity incredibly important for my well-being, it is something that I really try and connect with every day, even if it's for 1 minute in my journal. It might not be actually coming into my studio and sitting down with materials, but that's where I find the most benefit. So I like to use a lot of different materials in my process. If you don't have access to lots of materials, that's okay. You don't need lots of materials. We're not focusing on the outcome, we are focusing on the process, feeling into the movement, how our body feels, the expression, the waves of emotion that might come through. And it might be channeling into how you want to feel. So I tend to do a check-in first. My morning practice, I might be going for a walk, I might be doing a workout, I might be doing some weights to feel strong, I might just be sitting on my mat or cushion, doing a somatic check-in. There is always a somatic check-in happening, but it might be happening in different ways. So there might be movement, there might be stillness, there might be walking, there might be tapping, so EFT. And then I will come into the studio and I will put that down in my sketchbook in some way. So before we hop into that, I wanted to invite you to take a moment just to arrive. I know you're already here, you've clicked on the video, you've watched, hopefully up until now, but I'd love you to join in, if you want to, with a centering practice. Just a little moment to arrive, to check in. So if you're sitting down, you might want to lean back a little bit more, and I'm going to do that because I'm sitting up a little bit rigid right now. So just going to lean back a little bit and start to feel the support of the chair. Maybe you're walking, maybe you're listening to this on the go. I know, I do that sometimes. Obviously this video is more visual, and YouTube is more visual. But maybe you're walking. So noticing what surface is underneath you. Maybe you're lying down. And seeing if you can allow yourself to settle in a little bit more. So you might wiggle your pelvis, maybe press your back into the chair a little bit more. And there might be some movement that wants to happen here. I just want to give my shoulders a little roll, so feel free to join in. and noticing how your breath is. Not needing to change it, but maybe it's feeling quite slow and steady. Maybe it's feeling a little bit shallow. My breath is catching a little bit today. I can feel this catching in my throat and this kind of tightness here. So I'm going to allow myself to sit back in my seat just a little bit more, to soften my belly, my chest. Maybe you do the same. So checking in with how you are physically. Maybe there's some tension, some gripping. Maybe you start yawning. A sign that the nervous system is shifting. And really noticing the support underneath you. And what's in front of you. So obviously maybe the screen, but maybe look past the screen. Is there a window that you can look out of? Maybe there's something behind the screen that grabs your attention. And I invite you to find something that feels quite joyful or nourishing. So if you've got a pile of laundry that needs doing behind the screen, it's, try not to look for things that you need to do, but just things in your space that make you go, yeah, I love that. Like maybe it's a bookshelf, maybe you've collected lots of books. Maybe you have paintbrushes, maybe you're in an art studio and you've got paintbrushes, and there's that kind of excitement and possibility. You don't need to overthink it. And taking a few moments to observe shapes, colours, what was it that grabbed your attention, and noticing how that lands in your body. So maybe there is a little fizz of excitement, or maybe there is worry today. We aren't trying to ignore what is present, but trying to find something in the space that feels supportive, that feels nourishing, or a source of support. Nature can be a great ally in this particular situation and practice. So I hope you feel like you have arrived a little bit more. Now, once I've done that, so that is part of my practice as I come in to make some art. So I've already done a check-in earlier. Now that check-in for me, I'm noticing today that I'm a little bit anxious. There's a shift in my hormones. So I know that this time in my cycle it can be quite a tense time. I feel like I've got to do lots of things, even though I'm technically having a break. So those are the kinds of things that came up today in my practice, and that is kind of what I bring to so depending on how I am, whether I'm feeling really jolly, whether I'm feeling anxious, stressed, I bring the emotion. And there are other things, but I'm going to talk you through that. So let me set you up so that you can see my paper. I wanted to show you a few pages from my book, and this is a proper sketchbook, just like one of those kind of mixed media sketchbooks, which I absolutely love. And some of them have got dates on. They're all pretty much from August. This was a particularly frustrated day. Now, these don't have to make sense to anybody else. This isn't about creating a piece of artwork that is going to be shown. This isn't about the end result, although sometimes you can end up with quite a happy accident. This is about playing, experimentation. It's part of, you know, you might find something from this that you want to then take and explore further. Like maybe this, for example, I love the contrast of the black paint and then the really colourful watercolour. So that might be something that I want to take forward. But, you know, at the time, I was literally just getting down my thoughts and playing and seeing what wanted to come up. This was a page I started yesterday, but I'm going to start a fresh page. Now, I don't really know what's going to come up. I don't plan it. I just come in and I see how I, you know, from how I feel and what did come up. And I'm going to write out. So once I've taken a moment to arrive, to ground myself, to actually land in this space, and remember, you know, this is where I'm at for. I'm just here to create something. It doesn't have to be perfect. So I take the pressure off. And then I think about what colour I want. Now I've got lots of pencils, so I'm kind of feeling this red. And I will take a few breaths. And a great place to start is actually just writing down a few notes, writing down how you feel. Sorry if it's a bit wobbly. And sometimes we make mistakes. And that's absolutely fine. Now I do different practices, different tools daily. It might be some movement, it might be yoga, it might be tapping, EFT, it might be a workout. I did a workout today, and then I did some tapping, and this was some of the words that came up through that. So you can really take your time, if you've got time, obviously if you're in a bit of a rush. And I might start something and come back to it. So like this was just a background that I wanted to create, but then I needed it to dry. so that I could add something over the top. So that might happen today. This one, for example, I needed that to dry before I went over it. So some of them I will just come in and kind of scribble down the initial feeling or whatever it is that I want to process, and then I will kind of flip back in either throughout the day or maybe the next day. And obviously that might bring in a new emotion, something different, but really, you know, it doesn't matter. And this, you can do it in any way that you want to. So I think what I'm going to do is get some tape. So my I've had this kind of feeling today of like feeling kind of boxed in. Not boxed in, but so when we, you know, if you do a check-in, when you're kind of acknowledging how you are, you might notice sensations, so the tension maybe. You might notice you might notice images, colours, shapes, and these are all things that you can bring in. And I don't really know, I've got sort of an idea, but yeah, I'm not really thinking too much about what the outcome's going to look like. I just want to create some squares. So tape is always a great one to have nearby. And I know that this, you know, it might be a bit confusing to you if you've never done this before. And the beauty of it is that, you know, nobody needs to see it unless you want to share it. Nobody needs to see it, so it doesn't matter what it looks like. I've had a lot of blue coming up recently, but let's stick with there is some blue. And generally I will cover up some of the words or all of the words, and yeah, that's, if you know, and that's quite a nice thing to do if you've written something a bit personal and you just want it for yourself. And you know, if somebody picks up your sketchbook and has a little flick through, you know that they're not going to see what you've written or everything that you've written, and that can be really just really safe. See, I did have there was a kind of actually. So last night I did the journey of a tree, and I thought about maybe adding that, so that might be like a final layer. And there was some sun behind it. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna go. And as I am doing this, I'm checking that I feel grounded in my seat. I can feel my feet on the floor. I'm checking that I'm breathing, because sometimes when we're doing this we can hold our breath, and yeah, we just want to make sure that we are staying present in our bodies, and how, you know, the way that we are moving the material across the paper can be really therapeutic. You know, if there's frustration, for example, you saw, you know, over here, that was the feeling of yeah. And that was what I got down on the paper. So these are water soluble, so they kind of turn into watercolor. Sometimes when I'm doing this, things will happen that I didn't want to happen. So even though I don't have an idea in my mind of what it's going to look like, I will do something that I'm like, oh, I wish I hadn't done that. But that's okay. You know, there's a creative process in here. There's a experimental process. There's trying things out, and just, yeah. That's a bit too much that came out then. So I do tend to, you know, I know I'm going a bit quiet now, but I kind of just get into a bit of a zone, really, and start thinking about what wants to come up. Some of it's still wet, so I didn't let it dry. I just kind of felt like I wanted to get back into it. I've just got a little bit of shimmer paint there. I like to add a bit of shimmer. And I've got a dark green here. This is a nice scratchy brush. So I'm bringing a little bit of the tree in. Big leaves. Yeah, it had nice big full branches. Some of these, I love the outcome. I'm like, yeah, I really like that, and that is okay. You're allowed to like what comes out, and I think not putting pressure on it to come out a certain way to get an end product is the best thing. Because that's what holds us back. I love adding tape because then you can, when you peel it away, it just adds something else, like a new layer. So yeah, this looks like a mess, and that's kind of a bit of how I'm feeling today. Yeah, a lot in my brain today. So I will now most likely leave that to dry. Yellow is my favourite colour, and this picture of the tree last night, there was a glowing light behind it, the sun, and I just wanted to kind of add that in, and just add a little bit of that yellow kind of behind the leaves. So yeah, so sometimes it's very abstract. I mean, this is very abstract. Sometimes it will be the thing that is like the tree, for example. I'm just picking out little elements of that particular image, and then once I've peeled it off, maybe at the end I might add the trunk because that was and the roots because that was really significant. But you don't have to have an image in it. You don't need to use, it doesn't have to look like anything. This is mostly dry now, so I'm going to peel it off and see what happens. This is the fun bit, because we just don't know. Obviously we've got some of the writing under there, and you know, I could have made the writing a bit nicer, a bit neater, and I could have thought about how I was putting the tape down, but again, this isn't about perfection. If I love this, then I can think about that as a separate kind of project. And I also didn't think about what words were going to show up. The only one was this one. I knew I wanted safe, so when I put the tape down, the only word that was uncovered was the word safe, and I really liked that. And then actually when I peeled this bit off, the I am showed through as well. So, but that wasn't, I just wanted that word. So that's quite a nice way of going about it. Sometimes if I've done something that's quite elaborate like this and I'm waiting for it to dry, I will use this as a break. So if I'm working, I'll come back to it when I want to take a break, which can be a really nice pause, a moment to pause. So you can do this any time of the day. It doesn't have to be in the morning. It can be a break time. It can be before you go to bed, before you finish for the day. Yeah. So my little boxes. Nice. So what I'm going to do now, what I'm thinking is, sorry if you're wobbling, let's just kind of add a little bit more of that yellow. And what I want to do, I'm coming back to that tree idea. So I could have left it like that. That would have been absolutely fine. Yeah, could have left it. Didn't need to do anything additional to it. But I've got this tree in my head, and I just want to get that on there, really. So I'm using a bit of brown paint and a bit of yellow ochre. And this scratchy brush, which is still a bit wet. So I'm standing now for this, and actually I do stand for quite a lot of these, so that I can just kind of see over it. And I want to get a bit of this kind of scratchy brush texture. And the tree had a lot of exposed roots, and I was thinking about how it wasn't rooted. It wasn't, like, obviously this tree is very, very grounded and rooted, but this was kind of in context to something in my life, and it was, yeah, just kind of got me thinking about needing to root a little bit more. And it had all these branches coming over. It had so many branches, and what I love, a fact that I found out, which I hope is true, is that branches, if you were to put all the branches up together of the tree, they are the same width as the trunk. But you know, when you see a tree and it's got loads of branches coming off, you just wouldn't imagine that they would all kind of come together, especially when the trunk is so trunky. So yeah. So that's kind of, yeah, okay, I'm really glad that I did that, because that feels complete now. Yeah, so once I've finished it, I tend to just take a moment to look at it and check in again, notice how I feel, notice how the artwork makes me feel, and I can come back and look at it later. Yeah, so I really hope that you found this useful. If you've got any questions, please do ask. Again, this process is very personal to you. Well, this process was obviously personal to me, but it doesn't really have to look like anything. It is just a way of getting things down on the paper and channeling your emotions into it, or even just playing around with colours that you love. It might not even be about the emotional expression. It might be about how you want to feel, or something that is resonating with you. Maybe you went for a walk and you saw a really lovely flower, like this one at the beginning. I went for a walk and I'd connected with this inner child, and it was this glowing orange light. And on my walk I found some acorns. We've got loads of blackberries growing at the moment, so I ate a few, and when I came back I just wanted to get that down, and one of my one-to-one clients had given me some lavender as well, so you know, very abstract. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope that you found that useful. Before I go, I added a little touch of gold paint to the tree. You can see it shining there. For me, this just really represents that glow, the glow of the light from behind the tree, that I felt last night. If you would love to see any more of these kinds of processes, please let me know. If you've got any questions, pop a comment and I will get back to you. And yeah, good luck with your own intuitive, expressive, creative practice and process. Have fun with it. That's what it's about. Playing and moving, expressing, and yeah, yeah, I think that's it. Thank you, everyone. Bye.